The Mystery of BELICENA VILLCA. First Book. The Disappeared of Taffy Devale. Chapter the 4th. It was well known about BELICENA VILLCA in the hospital. She came in December of 1978 in an ambulance of the Army. 2 husky non-commissioned officers accompanied her to the office of the director and gave to him a letter of the foreman of the 230 Cavalry Regiment from Salta, Colonel Mario Perez, with a packet containing documentation and a medical record. In the letter, Dr. Kertz informed us later that the colonel requested to sign in BELICENA VILLCA as a patient of the hospital who suffered from a mental disease, properly proven by the military physicians who signed the attached studies. The woman, natal from the province of Tucumán, had only one son who disappeared during the Great Repression of 1977. Ignoring where he is, and, apparently due to the certainty that the authorities refused her any information, she started to move resolutely through many provinces of the Argentinian north, and even she left the country, traveling through the interior of Bolivia and Peru. That behavior resulted suspicious to the intelligence agencies, who submitted her to an intense surveillance and finally arrested her. It was during the hard interrogatories when was considered the possibility that BELICENA VILLCA was mentally unbalanced, and because of this, after consulting the military physicians, was disposed her transference to the neuropsychiatric hospital Dr. Livier Patronisla. In regard to her son, the Army knew nothing with respect to his location, neither if he militated in a subversive organization. His disappearance, warned the authorities due to, was thought that he passed to clandestinity. This idea was stated when the surprising activity of her mother was known, reason that finally motivated her detention. The precedent information provided by the colonel was to not give credit to the stories or the claims that the patient could make. According to Dr. Kertz, the tone of the letter admitted no response, was almost an order to intern BELICENA VILLCA. In his criterion had to be considered 2 possibilities: the woman went mad during the interrogatory, or the story proposed by the Army was real. What had to be totally discarded was a third variant, that she knew something about the subversion. In that case she would have been executed. They were difficult times. Argentina, military occupied in 1976, was resisting a tremendous repression that began with the extermination of the famous nihilistic partisans, such the official qualification, and ended with a bloodbath worthy of Keller, where fell people of every classes. The dead and the missing persons counted thousands, and, in such dangerous atmosphere, it was not good for their health to discuss the military directives. Then will come better times, said us Dr. Kertz. Remember that the soldiers are aimed by the laws of the strategy. And with his natural erudition, he quoted Machiavelli, genius of the strategy, where in his work the prince says, "The usurper state should make haste to inflict what injuries he must, at a stroke, that he may not have to renew them daily, but be enabled by their discontinuance to reassure men's minds, and afterwards win them over by benefits. Therefore injuries should be inflicted all at once, that their savour being less lastingly the less offend. Whereas, benefit should be conferred little by little, that so they may be more fully relished." That was, for Dr. Kertz, the philosophy of the government. I remember as though it were today, when I accompanied BELICENA VILLCA to the B. Pavilion, impressed by her cold treatment and simple elegancy. Without being really tall she seemed to be, her small body but up straight, the hair black and smooth, of soft filaments, falling down to her waist. Her slightly torn eyes were green, and the nose, a little prominent, gave an effect of firmness to her visage, framing an almost perfect oval. Her mouth, proportionated, was of beefy lips, her eyebrows thick and straight over the eyes. All in her emanated a vital air that in no way revealed an age of 47 years, and, even if the rigors of the past left an emaciated mark, was divine that in her youth she was an extraordinary beauty woman. The studies realized in the hospital confirmed that BELICENA suffered some type of schizophrenia. Therefore, Dr. Kerds, not very sensitive to the aesthetics considerations, decided to maintain the diagnostic of the military physician's irreversible senile dementia, even if such valuation was totally unfair. When I was walking through the corridors of the B Pavilion, I received the first of countless surprises that the treat with BELICENA and her strange story would give me. Reading the label of the plastic material with my name attached to the pocket of the jacket, she said, "Dr. Signal. You have a magical name, bearer of the victorious claw. Did you know?" "Yes, I guess," I replied, while I was mentally translating. Hetero, from the Greek octos, means bear, C means victory in German, and Nägel, claw in the same language. "What surprises me," I added, "is that you know it. Do you understand Greek and German?" "Oh, that is not necessary, doctor. I see with the blood." "I know what I always knew," said me with a candid smile. "She is really crazy." I foolishly thought, believing that she alluded to the theory of reincarnation as the spiritualists, permanent patients of our pavilions. In the time I could not imagine either remotely that someday I would make unused efforts to remember each one of her words, to analyze them with great respect,